Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's like Friday at noon. And my friend, Dr. Carol Perlman, is going to come on today. She is going to chat about time management. I mean, who doesn't need help with that, right? In life and in business. She is a wealth of knowledge, and I'm so excited that you were able to come on and share your wealth of knowledge with us. Carol also has an amazing podcast called Healthy Habits for Life. So if you want even more amazingness from Carol, go to, I think it's in Apple, right? Apple Podcast.
Wherever podcasts are, yep.
Healthy Habits, the number 4 Life. It's amazing. How many episodes do you have? Do you remember?
Over 40.
Whoa. Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot. And congrats on that. That's amazing. So I'm going to have Carol take it away. Feel free to use the chat and I will manage the chat. I'm going to take it over. You're going to take it over. I believe you should be able to do that now. She's got a great presentation for us. All right, guys. So here we go. Carol, take it away.
Thank you so much, Margaret. Hi, everyone. I'm so glad to be here. And I don't think I can see you here, so Margaret will let me know who's on and what's happening. But I'm really excited to talk to you today about managing your time and building your business. And I want to start off by just saying I get it. I'm going to go into a little bit about the different roles that I play and the hats that I wear, but I really get it as a busy mom that managing your time can sometimes feel so overwhelming and so difficult, and yet it is so important. And I know you're all here because you love your business, and of course you want to be successful. You want to see it grow, and you want to reach all those goals that are out there for you. And so much of that really comes down to time management, as I'm going to explain today. So I'm going to, okay, I think my slides are working here. So as I was saying, I wear a lot of different hats. I'm a psychologist. I had a private practice for many, many years. And then just before COVID, I was invited to interview at the Brigham in Foxborough, and I ended up taking that job and closing my practice. So I have a traditional job there, but I actually still maintain my practice and I do more online work. So I've been teaching online time management classes for the past 2 years, and I totally love it. And I'm really excited to share all that information with you. And then I also have a coaching practice, Healthy for Life. And from that was born the podcast that Margaret mentioned. And Margaret, I hope you all heard this. Margaret was on early on. She was part of one of my launch partners, and we did an amazing, amazing episode talking about business strategy. So we can put the link for that actually in this thread. It was so good and so perfect for all of you. So yeah, just like all of you, I'm a busy married mom of 2 boys, and I have all these jobs, and and I try to juggle it all. So where my work in this area of time management began was actually many, many years ago. In like 2000 and something, 2002, I was at Mass General Hospital, and I was invited to work on this project to develop a program for adults with ADHD. And so I've been doing that work for over 20 years, and was really in the nuts and bolts of teaching people with ADHD how to manage productivity and how to manage all the tasks that they have to juggle. And what I came to realize was that, ADHD aside, this is all just time management that everybody needs and everybody can struggle with at various points. As life gets more and more complicated, it just seems harder and harder to manage our time. And so a lot of these skills that I was teaching the adults with ADHD, I'm finding are really relevant for all of us. And so that's where I created this general time management program that I have been teaching since then. So, I have to tell you that it's one thing to teach from a place of your professional role, but it was really a whole nother thing when I started taking on these other jobs, when I started coaching, when I started my own second business and my kids were little. I really had to get a grip on my own time management. And Margaret and I have talked about this a lot. In fact, I think this is one of the things we might have bonded over early on when we first met, was that we like to read a lot of the same books. I'm constantly reading personal development books, learning how to improve my mindset, how to learn the skills I need to learn to be successful. And I came across this book called The One Thing by Gary Keller. Around here if you're in the Boston area, like many of us, I think you probably know Keller Williams Realty, and he's the one who started that. And he wrote this amazing book that has so many great nuggets for business owners. If you haven't read it, I definitely recommend getting your hands on it. And what happens in the book, in nearly every chapter, keeps asking the same question: what's the one thing I can do such that by doing it, everything else will be easier or unnecessary? And I'm waiting and waiting as I'm reading the book. I'm like, what's the one thing? What's the big thing he's going to reveal that's going to make all the difference? And once you know it, he never tells you. And he says, it's up to all of us to figure it out. And I thought, and I was like, all right, what is this one thing for me? And I realized it was manage my time well. If I manage my time well, everything is possible. All the goals that I'm working on are possible. The goals I have for my own health and wellness and fitness, the goals I have for my family, the goals I have for my business, they are all more achievable if I manage my time well. And so that's when I really started to dive in personally to work on my own skills, my own strategies, and combine that with what I know professionally. I've really been able to put together some great systems that I know work for me, and they're really working so well with the people that I teach. And so I wanted to share them with you because I think they will make such a big difference in your business. So as I read this book, The One Thing, this clip from a movie kept coming to mind, and I just love to show it here. I don't know how many of you will have seen this, but I think you'll appreciate it. So it's very short. This is just about a minute.
Cowboy leads a different kind of life than there were cowboys. They're a dying breed. Still means something to me, though. Couple of days, we'll move this herd across the river, ride through the valley. Oh, there's nothing like bringing in a herd.
That's great. Your life makes sense to you. What's so funny?
You city folk, you worry about a lot.
My wife basically told me she doesn't want me around.
She ready?
I'm just saying.
How old are you? 38.
39.
Yeah. You all come up here about the same age, same problems. Spend about 50 weeks a year getting knots in your rope, and then you think 2 weeks up here will untie 'em for you. You get it. Do you know what the secret of life is?
No, what?
This.
Your finger?
One thing. Just one thing. You stick to that and everything else don't mean.
That's great, but what's the one thing?
That's what you gotta figure out.
Such a kicker. He doesn't give the answer either, and that drove me crazy.
Cowboy leads a different kind of life.
It drove me crazy when I saw that movie and he didn't tell us what the one thing was. But that image, I just want that image to stick in your mind. The one thing that if you manage your time well, everything else will go so much more smoothly and so much better in your life. It all comes down to time management. So, all right, so let's dive into it. So, the other thing I want to talk about today, as I've been studying time management and all sorts of other personal development, I came across all of these books on habits. Everybody in the world of entrepreneurial business, everybody's talking about habits. And another one of my favorite books is called Atomic Habits, if you're looking for a good one. And don't worry, I have a list of all my recommended reading at the end. But a lot of people are talking about habits. And as it turns out, creating habits is so much more effective than trying to check off daily tasks every day. Why is it? Because when you think about it, when we have a to-do list and we're trying to go through that every day, we can get pulled. It is so easy to get pulled into multiple directions. I mean, these days, there are so many distractions. There are things that we have in our head. There are distractions in front of us. And it takes so much effort to really stay focused and do that one task that we're focusing on. But when something is a habit, it's more automatic. It's just what you do. And it requires less effort and it's more likely to get done because you're not going to get as easily pulled into other places and you're not going to get into the debate in your head. Well, should I do this? Is this the most important thing? Is this the right thing to be doing right now? You don't have to go through any of that. It's just what you do. So the other thing, there's this concept called decision fatigue. In the course of a day, we are making a million decisions. And frankly, it's exhausting. It is so exhausting. And have you ever gotten to the point where you say, I just can't make another decision? So that's what happens when we work from a task list and we're making decisions. Do I want to do this? Do I feel like doing this? Is this fun? Is this boring? Is this important? Is this going to be effective? Is this going to go well? As we're bouncing around with all those thoughts, we just burn out and then don't want to do it. Instead, if it's just what we do at this time of day or at this place in our routine, it's just what we do. We sidestep all that decision making and we preserve our energy so we can get the work done and get the results that we want. So one of the things that I teach that is so important in time management is creating habits. So these are things that you just do day in and day out, and you don't have to think about them, and you're going to be more productive. By the way, I want to say, so Margaret, I can't see the group. I can't see any of the chat. So let me know if there is anything going on there. But I invite you to write questions, or if you want to comment on anything that I'm saying, definitely write it in the chat, and Margaret can stop me and share that with me because I can't see it right now. And I'm happy to explain anything. If you are on, I would love to hear what's coming to mind when it comes to your Color Street business. What are the hangups with time management that get in your way? And I so appreciate everyone who chimed in. We took a poll on Margaret's Facebook group, and that was so helpful to get a sense of where you're getting stuck. And I think we're going to address a lot of the things that you were talking about. But if there's anything that's coming up where you see time management creates a problem, please write that in the chat and I will address it. Okay, so the first thing, these are my top 4 time management tips to make your business run more smoothly and to be more successful. The first thing is you need to have some sort of planning system. I know Margaret is all about systems, and I know her mission is to teach you how to duplicate the systems that she's already figured out. You don't have to reinvent the wheel, just duplicate them. She makes it as easy as possible. And in the same way that you need a system for managing and organizing your business, you need a system for managing your time. There's no one right system, there's no perfect planner. I can't tell you that this is the one right system to use because we're all a little different, but I want you to commit to that process of doing a little bit of research if you need to, and then make a decision. This is the system I'm going to use. You may prefer a digital one. The calendars that come with our phone are so good. They're so convenient. We all have our phone with us 24/7. And so wherever you are, you can put an appointment in, you can check to see what's the next thing coming up. So they really are great for convenience. So I think there's a lot to be said for those digital ones, but at the same time, the paper ones are also really helpful. Personally, I use a little bit of a hybrid, and I'm going to explain how I do that. But there's something about the visual of a paper one, especially if it's beautiful, if it's colorful. You're going to want to use it. I mean, I really want your planning system to become your best friend. I want you to be attached at the hip where you're constantly referencing back and forth throughout the day. You embrace it. It's not this thing that you dread. You embrace it because it makes your life better. So a beautiful, pretty visual planner is going to help your brain process the information in a different way than the digital calendars do. And I find that there's just something, I also really like, which I'm going to show you in a bit. I like the weekly layout so that your brain can see, okay, today is Monday. I have 5 days until Friday. Then I have 2 days for the weekend. It just helps you see and kind of process how long you have before things are due or before you have to prepare something. And I think that information processes differently than when we see it digitally. So that's why I like to use a hybrid. But you do you, and you pick what works for you. Okay, the next thing, if we were all live, I would ask a show of hands. How many of you have a million different sticky notes? How many of you have a million different lists on your desk, on your phone, in your car, in your purse, written on an envelope? These thoughts pop into your head and you don't want to forget about them. So most people just write them down on the most convenient place. But then we have the problem of having to remember, where did I write that down? Where is that list? And it leaves this nagging sense that there's something out there that you were supposed to do, but you don't know where it is. So I want you to create one master to-do list. So whenever anything pops in your mind, when you think of a friend who you think might love to host a party, I want you to know exactly where that name should go so that you'll be able to find it later when you're sitting down to do your work and sending out your messages. So you may decide to use a place in your planner, or there are so many great options on your phone. There's the notepad. There's a really great simple app called Reminders, which comes with, it definitely comes with the iPhone. I think it also comes with an Android phone. And it's really great, and so easy. And so I recommend just keep it simple. Yes, there are a million different apps out there. A lot of people like the Cozy app. The one that I really like these days, if you're going to use an app, is called Todoist. But at the end of the day, just keep it simple and just decide on one place where you're going to write down everything you need to do, everything you need to remember, the people you need to follow up with, the messages you need to send, the parties you need to get ready for. I want it all to go in one place. Okay, and then here's the next step, which is really going to elevate your time management game. It's called time blocking. If I could see you, I would ask how many of you have heard about time blocking and have tried it. But the idea is that you make a decision in advance when you are going to do every task that you need to do, so that when it comes the day of, you're just implementing as you go through your day. You remember I was talking about decision fatigue? So you don't have to make all those decisions. Oh, I have a free hour. What should I do? You've already decided in advance what the most important thing is. You plug it into an open time slot, and then you just have to execute as you go through your day. And I know things are not going to go perfectly. So some people, I talk to a lot of people about time management. I run a lot of groups, and I definitely hear people say that they're reluctant to make such a specific plan because what if something comes up and then they get derailed and then the plan doesn't work like they laid it out? Well, I can tell you this, it is definitely not going to work that way 100%, but it is going to work so much better than not having a plan. And the way you continue to be successful is you just make adjustments. When something comes up, when life throws you a curveball, all of a sudden you have a kid homesick, or all of a sudden computer crashes and you can't do the work you want to do, you just move things around and say, okay, that's not happening in that time block. And so I'm going to move it around and I'll do it somewhere else. You are still on top of everything, even if it didn't play out exactly how you wanted it to. If you make a plan B, you're still on top of things. And so that really gets to number 4. Oops. Oh boy. Number 4, which is learning to identify and problem solve obstacles. There will always be those glitches. And I want you to kind of learn to look from the outside in and observe what's going on when there's a glitch, and then figure out how to solve the problem. Most people are really good problem solvers. It's just that we get so caught up in the whirlwind of life that we don't always pause to think through what's getting us stuck. But if you were to slow down and say, okay, I keep running out of time, I'm not posting on social media on a regular basis, what's the problem? You will come up with a solution that you can then implement. It might be a negative thought you're having, like, I don't know what to say, or people are going to think what I post is dumb and irrelevant. If it's a thought that you're having, then you can come up with another thought to challenge that. That's going to be more helpful. If you're getting distracted, then you need to address that. Do you need to change where you're doing your work? Do you need to go to a quiet place in your house and close the door? Do you need to leave your house altogether and either go sit in your car or go to a coffee shop? How do you need to work around the distraction? Do you need to put your phone, maybe you need to work from your computer and put your phone in another room? I literally had to do that today. I had chucked my phone across the room because I had work to do and I was getting seduced by Facebook, and I chucked it across the room so that it wouldn't bother me anymore. Is it pets? This comes up a lot. The dog is barking. Every time I sit down to work, the dog is barking or the cat walks across my keyboard. So how are you going to problem solve that and put the pet somewhere where they won't bother you so you can get your work done? All right, moving on. I can't give a talk without giving a little shout out to my favorite topic called the Miracle Morning. If you follow me on social media, I think some of you do, then you will see I talk about this all the time. This gets back to routines and habits, and how you start your day is going to have a massive impact on how your day goes. So this is a book that was written by Hal Elrod, and he actually interviewed all sorts of highly successful people to try to figure out what are successful people doing that is helping them achieve such great success? And these were the commonalities. These were the things that everybody was doing to set up their day. You can do it in a lot of different ways. So my miracle morning might look different from your miracle morning. It doesn't matter. You create what works for you. And you can spend as little as 6 minutes on this, or you can spend 60 minutes on it, whatever works for you. But if you hit each of these elements of the routine, you're going to have a better day. So the 6 elements are silence, affirmations, visualization, exercise, reading, and scribing or writing. I could do a whole talk on just this, so I'm not going to go into all of this. I just want you to know it's out there. The book is amazing. There's an audio. There's obviously a paper copy. I actually had both because there were a lot of good handouts that you can fill in the book, but then I like to listen to the audio when I'm driving around in my car or making dinner. So definitely check out The Miracle Morning. Okay, so here's where I wanted to dive in a little bit more to time blocking and show you how I make this work for me. So do you remember I told you I wear a lot of different hats? I have a lot of different jobs. So a lot of times I'm changing gears from one to another. And this is where I find this visual of my paper planner is really helping me. So I have everything that has designated time and places in my calendar. And those are the easier things to show up for. Like if you know you have a party starting at 8 o'clock on Friday, it's a lot easier to know you have to be ready for that. But if you have, let's say you have a list of people that you just want to reconnect with because you thought maybe someday they'd be someone who would like to host a party, well, you could send those messages at any time of day, on any day. And those are the things that are harder to get done because they're not locked in. So I try to make a plan for this. So the one other thing I want to say is that I suggest picking one time during the week where you set up your plan for the entire week. For me, I pick Sunday mornings. It's a nice quiet time in my house, and I sit down in a cozy spot and I have my calendar from my phone there. And so I write in whatever I know is happening, and then I plan out all that blank space. So at the top here, I have my fitness goals. These are super, super important to me. So, there's that expression, I'm sure you've heard it. What is it like? Wishing for it, hope, that's what it is. Hope is not a strategy. I can't hope to get my workouts in. I need to know, or I can't hope that I'm going to achieve better fitness. I need a plan. I need to know exactly what my workouts are and when exactly they're happening. So I have them written out here. And I recently started color coding, and I think this is phenomenal. And again, it just comes back to imprinting the information on your brain in a new way. So I have a morning routine that I do every single morning. I kind of joke about this. If you were in my house, you could predict exactly what my path is going to be in the morning for the first 3 hours of the day, because I do the same thing every single day. I eat breakfast, I check my Facebook, I have a little news blog that I read, I do my miracle morning journaling, I do my Facebook posts, I make my kids lunch when I need to, and I do some inviting for my business. That all happens before 7:30. So you see that's written out in the morning. It has become a habit. So when I first started doing it, I had to write that all down in order so I knew what's the first thing, what's the next thing, what's the next thing. But now it's just automatic. It's just what I do. A lot of people tell me they're so surprised at how consistent I am with my social media posts. And it's kind of comical to me because I don't even think about it. It is just what I do. So I actually I don't think I shared a photo of it, but I can put it in the page later. I have a calendar for all of my social media. I post with the strategy. I have it all planned out for the entire month so that come the morning of, I don't have to decide what am I going to post about today. I already know what I'm posting about, and then I just have to write it and find the picture. So all of that happens in the morning, and I don't even think much about it because it's just what I do. And then I go through the rest of my day. I work out, I shower. My work hours are kind of set in stone. I work 9 to 12, so that's written out. And then this is where we get into the iffy part. When your day becomes unstructured, that's when you can get really lost and not know what the most important thing is. And that's when you start to really procrastinate, fart around on social media, watch Netflix, and not do the daily activities that are going to move your business forward. So as you can see here, I have my to-do list on the left. This is why I love my planner. I just like the visual layout of it. So I have everything written here, and I circle the things that are a priority. So this is my Sunday morning strategy. So I add anything to the list I need to add. I circle what my top priorities are, and then I go to work and I map them into the week. I figure out first, I always put in my workouts. I do a workout in the morning and then I try to do a walk in the afternoon. So I always put those in. I put in dinner and anything else that I know is happening. And then I look for the blank space and I start plugging in just one by one. Where am I going to do each of those to do activities? And you may notice I also have rest in here almost every single day. I'm like a toddler. I give myself a time to rest. You deserve that. We are not going to be effective if we go, go, go all day long. You're not going to be effective. So it's okay to intentionally take some time out and rest, but just be strategic and know when that's going to happen, and also know when it needs to end and when you need to get back into doing things you have to do. So this is really the nuts and bolts of what I wanted to show you, that you can make a list of what are all the business activities you want to do for the week, and then have a strategy and map it out onto your week. So you know that, first of all, you know what there is time for. And then when it comes to the week, you go through Monday, okay, I don't have to think about it. I don't have to make any more decisions. I'm just going to execute this. When it comes to Tuesday, I'm just going to execute this. Oh, okay. There was some curveball, something didn't happen. So now I'm going to look at the rest of the week. I'm going to cross something else out, move it around, and make some adjustments if I need to. Margaret, any questions about anything so far?
Hey, yeah. So, well, first of all, the book, The One Thing, huge.
Right? You're a huge
And
fan.
you can even take it to like the next level and say to yourself, like, who do I want to help? Like, what is my one thing that I want to help with? Because I think a lot of people have problems with, social media, and it's like, well, what do I want to help people and serve people with? Just pick one thing, right? Like picking just one thing can like clarify it all. So
Yeah.
when you mentioned that book, I was like, oh my God, I read that like 3 years ago or whenever it was, and loved it. Loved that book. Dina said that she needs to find more time for like thank yous, and she gets sidetracked a lot, right? Which I feel like a lot of us do.
Yeah. So my question, Dina, would be, number one, are you assigning a time? Are you designating a time when you're going to do them? And if no, then that might be part of the problem. Like if you don't have a definite plan, then it's always going to be in the back of your head that you're kind of hoping to have time for, but you're not going to make the time for it. So the first thing I would suggest is put it in your calendar with a definite time and place. And if you're already doing that, but you're finding that you're still struggling to make it happen, I would ask yourself if that's really the best time. Maybe it's just not an ideal time if they're like, if you have kids around, or if it's dinner time or whatever it is. If it's just not a realistic time, then maybe move it around and try a different time and see if that works better.
Yeah. Do you feel like, because I mean, you deal with, the time management with a lot of people. I know for me, like when I first started my business 4 years ago, like that wasn't even like a thing. I was like, I don't have time to time block. Like I got to just go. And what happens is you miss out on a lot. Like things fall through the crack.
Yeah.
And I realized that, and I said, all right, I almost need to put a halt on just life to organize myself and create a system for myself. So like some people will say, you got to take 2 steps back to jump forward. I just kind of put like a little pause. I'm like,
oh my God, you used the word I was going to talk about, the pause. Yeah.
Right? Like I needed to pause, and I needed to say, I need to be more efficient with my time, right? We always talk about working smarter, not harder. But what does that look like when you're in the midst of chaos, right? I really do feel like you need to hit the pause button and say, I need to create these systems, which it's funny that you mentioned this, that you do written and digital, because I actually do the same, but I never heard somebody call it hybrid.
Oh, that's funny.
So like, I love that. Like I have, as Carol said, like I'm like the systems queen, but I use Trello for a lot of it. But then I absolutely, actually, I was just going to say with the distraction, I have my calendar, and I kind of do what you do with like the time blocking. But what I realized is I had it right on my desk, and that didn't work for me. It distracted me from things because I'd be like, oh wait, but I haven't gotten like, I'm off track. So I actually put it in my kitchen. And what I do is, because I can't sit in the same area and the same like all day long. So I go out, look at the task I'm supposed to do. I come back in, I do the task, and then I go back out to figure out what I need to do next.
I love it. It's such a good point. And I didn't say that because the same thing could happen if you look at this book, for example, Open Up, you can get overwhelmed. And then you're like, your mind is thinking, well, what's coming up on Thursday? And what I want you to do is just what you're saying is block everything out and just work one day at a time. So what I do is I take a picture of this calendar. So it's always, my whole plan is always in my phone. So I don't necessarily need to go pick up the whole planner and see the whole week again. I can just take a quick peek in my phone. Okay, what's the next thing? And then put it all away again. So just like you said, yeah, your instinct is so good.
Yeah. So that was like, and I love how you have rest. I was going to say rest and restore, because that is so important, right? Like we're all so busy. And then if you don't do that, like it's almost like too much. Reminders. I don't know how I did not see that on my phone.
Are you serious?
It must have changed. It looks different.
Yeah.
It says I have 600 of them, so I must have used them.
Oh my goodness.
In the past.
Yeah, so it's not, just to be clear, it's not the notifications that remind you. It's a separate app called Reminders.
Yeah, it looks. Yeah. Wait a sec.
Yeah. So it's white and it has like little dots. Yeah. And what I really like about that is that you can create separate lists. So you could create a list of people who might host a party, people I need to send thank you notes to, people who might be interested in the business, people I just want to get to know and build a friendship with. So you can create all those separate lists and you can mark them. I teach an ABC system for priorities, but Reminders uses 1, 2, 3. And so you can prioritize them and, because you can't get to everything at once. And so you can say, okay, let's say I have 10 people who I thought might be interested in the business that I want to reach out to. And you can mark, I usually say, just pick 2 or 3 like top priority items. So rank them 1, 2, 3, and then just take those first 2 or 3 people who you rank 1 and put those in your calendar. Like those are the only people you're going to focus on first. Get that done and then go on to the rest.
Yeah, I love that, because a lot of the girls are strictly working from their phone. Like some of them do not even touch their desktops. They just do it from their phone. So that's why I liked Trello, because Trello was desktop and an app on your phone. But there are other ones that you can just work strictly from your phone. And I find that to be like genius,
Yeah, we can do so much. It's really amazing.
Yeah. One other question on, when you were saying like, we need to like create habits for ourselves. Can like your to-do list become a habit? Like, right? Like that's what you're saying. Like we're gonna time block like this, and your to-do list becomes the habit that you're going to be doing day in and day out.
In a couple of different ways. So the habit I want you to build is the habit of setting up your week. Like, whether you do it Sunday, Friday, some people sit down Monday morning. That's the first thing they do. Whenever you decide. So the first habit is setting up your week. The next habit is checking throughout the day, staying really closely connected, checking in with it. And then some of the things that you do that are repeating, they're like to-do items, but they're going to become habits, like the Miracle Morning, my Facebook post, working out. I don't really consider those a to-do anymore. It's just what I do. It's just a habit.
Right. Yeah, no, that's genius. I mean, this is so much information. So I'm going to be sending out the recording via email to like everybody on the team. So if they have like questions, can they put them in the chat and you can stay in our group page for a little bit?
Yes, for sure. I think I'll double check my notifications for the group so that I see them. But yes, you can do that. Or I have here, find me anywhere. Find me on Facebook, Instagram, reach out to me. I'm happy to help. This is a lot. And I want people to know I've been working on this for many years. If time management is new, you're not going to go from 0 to 60. You're not going to go from where you are to what I just showed you. So just work on one step at a time. creating better and better systems, knowing that it will evolve. It's a lifelong process. So it's going to evolve. You won't get there right away. But I talk, thank you for the shout out for the podcast. I share so many tips like this. And I also wanted to mention one of my mentors, Lisa Hanson, has an amazing episode about the pause. And that pause relates to so many things. It relates to food and emotional eating and just general emotional regulation. I think she might be episode 10. I'm not positive, but she's one of the very early ones. So look for that. She does a great job teaching you how to incorporate that pause.
Yeah.
And I'll send you all these slides. I have these are some of my favorite books that I like to recommend.
Yeah, Atomic Habits was really good. Oh, Tiny Habits. I have that, so I have a list of books too soon.
Yeah.
That's only a few. Tiny Habits is in there. I haven't read that one yet. Because I mean, they're like you said, it's like you start one place and you end up another, right? So it's like, have the grace to say to yourself, I'm just going to start it and see how it works, but I am willing to tweak as I go, right? Like
constantly learning. Like I like to think in terms of experiments. Like, okay, I'm going to do an experiment. I'm going to try doing this and then collect the data, see how it goes, and then reevaluate and decide, do I like it? Did it work well? Or do I need to make some adjustments?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, this was like a wealth of information. Thank you, Carol, so much for coming on. This was amazing. And so they can follow you on social media and your podcast. Do you have any courses that you do for time management?
I do, yeah. So I have 2 websites that you can go to. One's Healthy, like you said, the podcast, Healthy, the number 4, Healthy for Life by carolperlman.com. And that has some information. And then I have another one, carolperlman.com. That's really my psychology website. And then if you go to It's About Time Management, I think. It's about timemanagement.com. So I have a 21-day habit building time management course that I teach. I don't have a start date. I usually run them once a month. I don't have a start date planned right now. I'm waiting to kind of sort that out, but I have a workbook, and you can always do it at as a self-paced course, and that's available on my website. And if you are interested in it, I do an interactive course through a private Facebook group. So let me know if you're interested, and if there's enough interest, I'll start a new one sooner rather than later.
I know, right? Well, I'm sure there's a lot of people who are probably thinking to themselves, like, I want to get all these habits in all my time management in place, because I mean 2022 is coming around, right? So it's like trying to get all that stuff squared away so that they can feel really, really good at starting the new year nice and fresh. So
totally agree. I totally agree. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. We really, really appreciate it. Someone's gonna go take a nap.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can see him because he's so dark. But thank you so much for coming on. We really, really appreciate it, Carol.
It was my pleasure. Thanks for having me. And don't hesitate to reach out. I'm happy to help anytime.
Awesome. Thank you. Have a great one.
Bye.
Bye.